Hello Automation Kings, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Sanj, and in this video I've got something really special for you, okay? How would you like to scrape local leads using Google Maps scraping, all done through N8N, locally hosted and managed by an AI agent, okay? And what's special about this system is that it will even write a personalized outreach cold email message for you, okay? So without any further ado, let's go ahead and build this puppy. This Google Maps scraper has a few requirements, okay? So the first thing we want to do is we want to connect it to the apify.com MCP server. And I'll show you how to do that. And obviously we're going to do a live build on this video. The second requirement is we need to configure the AI agent to output the correct data, okay? Because when you scrape off Google Maps, there's a ton of data that you could import, right? Into a Google Sheet, a CSV file, or even if you wanted to connect this up to a CRM like HubSpot, okay? Then I'll demo the live chat experience as well. So if you want to go into production with this and actually sell it to clients as a service, you can do that with the live chat window, okay? And I'll show you how to do that. There is just one caveat, and that is this MCP automation is hosted locally on my machine, okay? Because the MCP nodes haven't been approved for the cloud system. So when you pay for N8N, right? Which means that you have to run it off your own machine or off a cloud environment, right? So what that means is that because I run it on my local Mac, right? I use it through Docker, my machine would need to be on. If I was to sell this as a service, I would need to leave the machine on. So just bear that in mind if you do decide to do this. And then the last thing is just scrape and go print money. Go find these leads, go, send them the email that this system will create, and jump on a call and sell them a service, sell them a monthly package or like a retainer, and they don't need to pay that much, right? Even something like $500 a month per client adds up pretty quickly, okay? So let me show you the automation first. Let me just hide this. I ran it earlier before I started the video. So basically there's just two major elements, right? The first is obviously the chat, which is a trigger. Then you've got the AI agent inside of this sticky note. And it basically connects to an OpenAI chat model, right? And I think you can do this for free if you use Google Gemini 2.0, because I believe it's still free, right? So definitely try that. I'm already paying for OpenAI, so I'm not really that fussed, to be honest with you. But certainly try it with other language models. Then it connects to the MCP, Google Maps scraper through Apify. Okay, and I'll show you how to do that through Apify. So if you're not familiar, Apify is a scraping platform. It's my number one scraping solution. I love it. I pay for it. And what's great about it is that they recently announced that you can do it through MCP, right? So there are other ways you can do this. You can call it through an HTTP request inside of N8N, but using the MCP, you can actually connect it up directly into an AI agent, right? And that obviously is then a game changer, because now the AI is controlling the process, right? And you have a lot of creativity with AI, right? Because if you give it certain parameters, it does all the heavy lifting, right? And then what it's going to do is going to save the leads into a Google Drive. So it's just a CSV file. That's why I've told it to output. And you can connect this up to anything, right? You can put like a CRM in here. You can put Airtable in here, Notion. You can save it anywhere you want, right? But you definitely want to save it somewhere, because this system will actually create an outreach message, like the first email, right? Like a cold email. So you definitely want to save that, right? And so let me open up the chat, because I ran it earlier. It takes a few minutes for it to run. So I went ahead and ran it earlier, and I'll show you what that looks like. So basically I said, give me 5 dentists from Brooklyn, New York, okay? So then the scraper has connected to the MCP server inside of Apify, and then it's found me all these details. And it's pretty cool, right? Like it's got the location, the address, the phone number. You can do some outbound sales, with phone calls if you wanted to do that. And you can automate that with AI as well, by the way. I've actually got a video on this with Synflow. So have a look at that. You can definitely automate it. And then it's got the maps link, right? So there's a lot of things you could do here. You can email them, you can contact them with flyers, you can call them, right? So I just did 5 because I wanted it to finish quickly. And if I head over to the Google Drive, it's this one here. Where's it gone? I thought I had it open. Just give me a second. I'll bring it up. Yeah, this one here. So yeah, this is what it looks like, because I'm opening it up in the preview of the drive, but obviously open this up inside of Excel or Google Sheets. It's going to be more formatted than this. What's interesting is this line here. So basically it's actually written the outreach message, right? Based off all the data points that we get from the scraper. And you can make this as creative as you want, right? Because you've got so many data points that you can use. So you can look at their reviews, right? You can scrape reviews and you can say, oh, I saw that review from George or Bob, right? That said X, Y, and Z. You can plug that into the outreach message. That's gonna work really well, right? Because it shows the prospect that you've actually taken the time, you've done some homework, you've looked at their business, right? And you've you're paying attention. It's not just a generic email that everyone sends all the time, right? Because they're going to be inundated. Their inbox is going to be inundated. So if you have something very specific, very personalized to this business, and Google reviews is going to give you that, right? Then it's definitely going to help you stand out from the crowd. Okay, so let me move on to the next step and let's build this together. Remember, this is a locally hosted automation. Okay, so you're going to need to set that up, as you can see here, and obviously install the MCP nodes. Okay, if you don't know how to do that, there is a video that I've created. Go back on my channel, have a look at that, and I'll show you how to do that using a system called Docker. Okay, so to build this automation, the first thing we're going to need is a trigger. So let's just bring up the chat trigger, right? Because we're going to use a chat window for this. And then the next node is the AI agent. Okay, because we're going to plug everything into the AI. So I'll come back to this and we'll discuss the prompt, because I need to take it off from the original. It's quite a big prompt because there's a lot of data that I need to process. Okay, but I'll come back to that. And then what you want to do is you want to add a chat model. And like I said earlier, I think Google Gemini 2.0 is free for the time being, so definitely test that out, right? But I'm going to use OpenAI for this because I always use this. That's the first thing. That's the first node. Make sure it's connected. Okay, and then if we go back to the build, the original, you can see here that I've got Google Maps Scraper, which is an MCP execute tool node. Okay, and so let's bring that up. That's not that, it's this one here. And if you've done it right, if you've done the MCP installation correctly for the node, you'll see it in the list here under tools. Okay, so this is the node, and then I want to connect it up to the Apify MCP server, and I'll show you how to do that. And then we don't want to list tools because we know what it is. We want to execute the tools, right? So if you do create a new connection to an MCP server for the first time, and you want to know what tool sets they have on that server, you could do a list tools, right? And then the output will show you all the tools and specifically a description about what each tool does, right? And so Apify is mostly scraping. It's a scraping platform, so the tools are going to be, Google Maps scrapers and those kind of similar related tools, right? So I'm going to select execute tools, and then for the tool name, I'm using this specific tool by this guy called Lucas Krivka, I think it is. So I'm going to copy this, and I'll show you where you can get that from. You can, when you load it, you'll see it in there, but it's also on the MCP page, the support page from Apify. Okay, so make sure the tool name is correct, otherwise it's not going to work. It has to be exactly how you see it, and pay attention to the capitalization and the hashtags. Not the hashtags, sorry, the dashes. Okay, and the next thing I want to take is these parameters. Okay, so this is JavaScript. Okay, and I'm going to copy this. Okay, and basically all it's saying is this is JSON from the scraper, right? So if you were to do it manually inside of Apify, and I can show you that. So if I go over to Apify, if I go to actors, and then I go to, this is the actor here, right? Now I can run this manually. I can just go into Apify and do this manually, right? So if I wanted to do it manually, I'll type in the search term. So for my example, I used the dentist, right? But if I was doing it manually, I'd put dentist in here, and then I'd put a location. So I think I said Queens, right? Queens, New York. And then the number of places, so I think I said 5, and then language, it's obviously going to be English. And then you've got some other parameters here that you can do, right? You can set up. If you wanted to do it, automated and through N8N, which we absolutely do want to do that. We are the automation kings after all. You go over to JSON, right? And then you grab this code, right? These are variables that the scraper needs, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm taking the location query, everything that's in green is coming from the chat input, okay? And that's why it's so cool when you use a system like this, because the AI does most of the heavy lifting, okay? And then I've set skip close spaces, right? To be true, because I don't want any false, kind of like leads, right? If I'm gonna sell this as a service or whatever, then I wanna make sure that the leads are active, okay? Or if I'm going to contact these people, right? If I'm going to contact these businesses, I want to make sure that the business is at least open, right? And then if you add any more parameters here, like you can filter with precise searches and the geolocation, all that kind of stuff, right? You will see more of this code come up inside of the JSON when you go into the JSON tab, right? It will give you more of that, and that's all you need to know. You just got to grab this, right? So I'm going to grab this and come out here and put it inside of the expression here. So paste that there, and test it and make sure you save it. So what did I call this? I call this Google Maps Scraper. So let's just save that. Google Maps Scraper. And then that node is done. And then so to add the server, what you want to do is click over to create new credential. Call it whatever you want here. And then you're going to need to command the arguments and the environments. Okay, so to get that, you head over to the Apify MCP server page. Okay, so it's just apify.com/apify/actors MCP server. If you go into Google, just type in Apify MCP server. It'll bring you to this page, okay? And what you want from here, there's a lot of information in here. So if you are curious, by all means, consume this information. But I want to go down to the bottom here and show you what it is that you need, okay? So here it tells you this is the name of the tool. And we want to go to this bit here, right? The MCP server. So the command is npx. Okay, so you put npx here. Then the arguments is this string here, but I need to edit it, right? Because it's not correct. So what I need to do is I need to get rid of the quotation marks and this as well, the comma. Okay, so it should look like this: -y at apify/actors-mcp-server. Okay. Then for environments, this is where your API key goes. Okay, so what you want is you want this. Okay, and then just paste that here. Right, I'll show you on the expression so you can see it. Just get rid of this, and then for the token, you need to sign into your account. Go over to settings. So this is inside of Apify right now. Just kind of disclaimer here: this is a paid service. Okay, so if you see this scraper, it's $9 for 1,000 results, which is ridiculous. I mean, if you were to buy 1,000 local results, it would cost you more than $9, right? If you go to like one of these lead brokers. So this is very good value, and you can see that I pay for it. But for the API, you go over to settings, head over to API integrations, and then just create a new token. Okay, so you can see I've already done it, and then just copy this, and then paste it here. Okay, and I've already done it, so I'm not going to go through that. And then make sure you save it. Once it's worked, you'll see it like this. It's all working, and you can test the connection, etc. Basically, it just needs to look like this, okay? And then the last thing we want to do is we want to save it. You want to save the output to Google Drive. Okay, it's going to save it as a CSV, right? So let's just head over inside of here just to show you how this works. So make sure you set up a connection to your Google Drive. If you don't know how to do that, there is a video on how you can set that up. So go back to my channel for that. But I'm going to go over here to tools, and then we're going to go to Google Drive. And then make sure you have the connection, like I said. And then what do we need from this? So we're going to set it automatically. The file, the resources file, create from text. And then the content, we're just going to get the AI to do it, right? So what did I say? The operations create from text. Okay, so we have the text, right, which is the output from the AI agent, and we don't want to do much with it. Okay, so and then for the file content, we just let the model define its parameters, right? So again, we just completely depend on the AI, which is one of the best language models on the planet. So yeah, that's totally fine. And then for the file name, you can call it whatever you want. It doesn't really matter, right? All I did was I just gave it a date, right? So today's date. That's what the string means here. That's why it's green, and you can see here. In fact, let me go inside expressions so you can see it. This is what the output will look like, right? It'll be whatever my input is. Okay, so I'm gonna take this, and I've just added a .csv because that's the file format that I want in. Okay, so we're gonna go over to file name, go to expressions, open. Oh, I haven't copied it. Copy, paste, And you know it's worked because it's green. It's always a good sign. And then what are we going to do? We're going to call it save leads or save CSV or call it whatever you want, right? And then come out of this, and then that's it. It's for the most part, it's done, right? That's the build itself is done. Now, what you want to do is you want to go back into the AI agent, and we want to grab something from the original build, okay? Because I've got a huge prompt in here. So if I go in here with the system message, and then you can see the prompt user message is a chat input from the previous node, right? And then for this, you just want to add system message, okay? So I'm going to go back in here and grab this, and I'll explain exactly what I'm doing, okay? So this was a big one. This one took a while to create. I spent probably like at least an hour on this prompt. Okay, so let's go into expression. Let me open up a big window so you can see this. So the prompt for the system message is, you are an expert AI assistant with 20 years of experience in lead generation and outreach for business purposes, especially using data from Google Maps. Okay, so I'm being very specific, and that's the best way to do this, right? When you use any language model, just be very specific. Don't let it assume anything, right? And give it examples, okay? Critical requirement. Every time you successfully retrieve business information using Google Maps Scraper, you must generate a CSV file using the Save Leads tool. So the Save Leads tool is just whatever I've called it, right? Which is this one here. Right, you will then reference whatever you call it, okay? And then you have access to the following tools. The Google Maps Scraper, again, it has to be referenced, whatever you call it, whatever you call the MCP node, just make sure that that's consistent, right? And then the Save Leads tool. So I'm just telling you what to do, right? You're going to use this tool to extract the business location and the extract the business and the location information, right? You must use this tool and for something like, and give it some examples, right? Like 5 plumbing services in Sydney, for example, right? For every request, you must create a CSV file using Save Leads and upload it into Google Drive. Right, so we're being very specific in what we're doing. Parameters are very important because this is a language model, right? If you don't give it guardrails, it is going to go off the rails because it can do anything, right? Critical requirement: when generating a CSV, use NA as a placeholder for any field that is blank, okay, missing or unavailable. This ensures the CSV formatting stays aligned. Do not leave cells empty. This is just the formatting request, right? Requirement. It's nothing more than that. And then this is the format. So I've basically told it to put column names, give it a place ID, right? And I'm just telling it what to do, right? If it's got any publicly available like social media accounts, then put all that in there, okay? And then after retrieving and saving this data, generate the following additional columns using the lead analysis instructions, okay? So 25 is the lead score, 26 is the lead score reasoning, 27 is a draft email. So we're gonna create a draft email message, and you can actually link this up to your emailing automation tool, something like Instantly, which is what I use. And it works really well, okay? Because it is a variable, if you see it here, right? It's a draft email variable, right? And then here's the message. So I've given it a sample. If I was contacting plumbing services, my name is, I'm named from agency. And obviously you'd fill in the blanks here, right? With the placeholders. Don't obviously send it like this. And obviously test the subject lines, right? I'm just giving an example. Then the lead analysis instructions, evaluate the score for each business from 1 to 10. Then write a personalized email under 500 characters that clearly address their needs. Okay, so in the email, when at the beginning of the video, I said in the email you can make it very personalized using like a review, something somebody said in a review, like a 5-star review, or something that gave them like a really like a low review, like a 1, like a 1.1 or something, right? That could address a problem in their business, and you are the person that could fix that, right? So that's obviously really good as well, because the reviews tell you a lot about the business. And then this is the output for the email. And the scoring, the lead scoring system, okay? And then lastly, if the user asks for details about locations, businesses or services like listed in Google Maps, you must use the Google Maps Scraper tool, right? If the user does not mention a place or location, guide them to the format their request properly for the business lookup. Okay, so we've got some, kind of error handling in here. If they're not specific, then you can build that into the prompt, okay? And yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, so the last thing before I wrap up this video was, let me just go back to the Excel drawer. So we've done the connect to Apify MCP. We've configured the AI agent to output the correct data. Let me demo the live chat experience. Okay, so if I head over to the original, if you go inside of here, you can actually make this chat publicly available, okay? And then this is the chat URL, right? And you can actually modify this, right? So you can put an initial message here, you can add a title, subtitle, and then this is what it looks like, okay? So this is what you would send to the clients, right? You basically build them a tailored solution like this. All they need to do is just go to this web address and they can type in whatever they need, okay? And then you could send them the reports, right? You can email it to them, you can modify it, you could export it to the HubSpot so they have a live system, right? And then you charge them like a monthly retainer just to manage this. And honestly, something like this, right? Scrapezilla, there's literally no management involved, right? There's like 4 or 5 nodes, right? So it's the easiest system to manage, and you can quite easily charge $500 for this a month. You should be, absolutely should be selling this as a monthly service. Okay, so thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you made it this far, and if you like it, please give me a thumbs up, share it in your network or your community, and most importantly, please subscribe to the channel. Your support means the world to me, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.